Jackie Capstick, and this is my podcast, The Natural Healing Real. Today, we have another great guest, Jemima Blazdell, and she is all the way from the UK. I'm not going to do where she's from any justice, so I'm not going to say it. We'll let her share that. But she has a coaching business that she is helping us all deal with our patterns of thoughts and traumas and anxieties. And instead of putting a Band-Aid on it, she has put a whole program in place where she's actually helping people get to the root cause of it and, shift it and give you the tools so we can change our lives. So Gemma, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today.
Such a pleasure. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us a little bit of background and how this all came about for you.
Yeah, so I was diagnosed with depression when I was 21, given antidepressants and sent to see a counsellor. So at that point, I'd been having anxiety for quite a few years. Looking back, I'd probably had it for most of my teenage years through school. So I had social anxiety. I'd worry about different situations. And I thought it was a lack of confidence because I could go to a party, have a glass of wine, and I was fine, I could get on with it. But then I started self-harming. It was really impacting my life. So if I'd go to work all morning, I'd be dreading about who I was going to meet at lunchtime. It was really tough. So I went to the doctor. I knew I didn't want to self-harm. So I went to the doctor. I was like, this is when I need help. Sent to see the counsellor, as I say. 12 years later, 13 counsellors later, I was still having panic attacks. I was still anxious, and nothing had really changed. I knew a lot more about myself and why I was having these triggers, but there was no change. And I was always interested in alternative techniques and finding my own way. So I tried lots of different things. And then a friend of mine told me about EFT, emotional freedom technique, or tapping. So it's a bit like acupuncture without the needles. And I just tried it out, and I went to a website called tapping.com, and it shows you the process. So I'm watching this video and tapping away, and a friend of mine happened to call me, and my jaw was so relaxed I couldn't speak properly. I could feel something had happened to me. I was like, I don't know what this is, but something's working. So I just tried it on my own. I couldn't quite get my head around it. So I went on and did the training. And when I was there was a guy who'd had a car accident in the 60s. And when he mentioned this accident, he was shaking and crying, like all the trauma came back into his body. So the trainer got him up on the stage. He worked through the memory. And every time he got to a stressful point, he'd freeze the picture, he'd clear the trauma out of his body, clear the emotion out, worked all the way through. Took about half an hour. He said, how do you feel now? And he said, I feel like it happened to somebody else. And it was incredible, the transformation that happened in that moment. All of us were kind of hanging on every word. And I had this thought in that moment, this is why I'm here. Like, this is what I've been looking for. Because in that process, you can step into a memory in your mind and you can resolve the trauma. You can clear the emotion. So, you have those memories that are really difficult and you feel it in your body. There was a way of actually moving it out and feeling differently and letting it go, basically. So I dived straight in and I swapped with everyone who I'd trained with. I did all the sessions myself. 6 months later, I became a full-time practitioner, and I haven't looked back. It's been amazing. Yeah, thank you. What was amazing is that I knew, as I say, I knew what had happened to me, what day the traumas were, but I hadn't been able to do anything about it. And this was like everything I'd needed. Because you can step into a memory, talk to a younger version of yourself, kind of play things out how you wish you'd had. So if you had more confidence, what would you have said? And I started to learn about the unconscious mind and how that's where we hold all our programs. So if you feel more confident, you are more confident. And if you've got a memory that suddenly is different and you're behaving differently in it, then everything that's happening now, you feel differently about it. So after I'd done all of that, so 6 months later, so I'd sort of got to this point, I'd throw my son into school and I'd run off saying, oh, I'm busy. I would avoid contact with everyone. 6 months later, I was a school governor. I was involved. I could take my time. And my life kind of really, I felt more control of everything. So that was huge for me. And yeah, having had that transformation myself, I just wanted to share it with as many people as I could.
And I'm sure that there was people coming to you at that point saying, what have you done?
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
You're obviously showing up differently.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You're showing up.
Yeah, exactly. I was staying in the room. I could sit down. So sitting at a table could be quite difficult because you sort of I felt a bit trapped. But I didn't know why either. I was just kind of very self-conscious and my body was in fight or flight the whole time. So I would just kind of find reasons to move around or be very helpful. So I'd be jumping up and helping and seemingly just having fun, but underneath it was driven by this huge anxiety in my body.
Interesting. And so was there a trauma that happened to you that you, like while you were a kid, that was ingrained in your, like you're in fight or flight. And so you're in there quite often. So something was happening.
Absolutely. Yeah. So all my core traumas kind of went back to early years. My parents separated when I was 2. Things changed. That was really my core trauma, even though my family is very loving, very kind. We had a great upbringing in a lot of ways, but that was very difficult. So I'm one of 6 kids, splits and halves and all those kind of things, for 4 parents. It was the 70s. It was tough, but that was basically particular moments along the way when I was really tiny. Those were the things that were really impactful. Things like
just weren't feeling safe.
Basically.
Feeling of not being safe because your foundation has now been ripped up.
Yeah. So we're all born thinking our parents are right. So if anything goes wrong, it must have been my fault somewhere along the line. And I'm very sensitive, and I was always a bit of a people pleaser. I needed everyone else to be okay so that I could be okay, which is an impossible thing to achieve. So I kind of felt like, yeah. And I know, as you know, most people who are practitioners who want to help people, they've got their own story. Yeah. They've been through it. You can't understand someone else's pain until you've experienced it yourself, basically.
I think that's right. I think that's really true, isn't it? To have the compassion on a level that is necessary for what you're dealing with. You need to have walked somewhat of that path, I believe.
Yeah. Somebody once said to me, a client said to me, "Thank you for whatever you've been through in order to help me now." So she really recognized that I understood her path. And that was kind of, it makes it all worthwhile, doesn't it? When you feel like,
absolutely,
those moments when people really change. And that's what I really love about these techniques, these alternative therapies. And as you say, they kind of stick the band-aid on. When you get underneath and start really doing the healing, your life can be different. It can actually, you can feel differently, you can behave differently, you can interact differently. Transformation is possible.
I think that when you're there, though, you're needing to have something, it's really hard to know what it is you need and where to go for that if you don't have somebody like yourself that's kind of, mimicking or, living something similar to what you're wanting your life to be, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Which is why I created the Stress Free Life Academy. I created courses and webinars and workshops, all the things that I wish I'd had when I was 19. When I was 16, when I was 25, I could have done with something in the middle of the night that I could go on and listen to somebody do a process and change how I felt. So that's where it all came from, basically, filling in that gap of what I needed.
Yeah, it's huge. It really is. And it's just having those tools accessible, right? And then, well, good for you for sharing, because I believe we're in such an intense time in our world. Universe.
Exactly. The whole planet's just been through the pandemic. And what I've noticed, I don't know if you've noticed this too in your work, I'm sure you have, that everyone's biggest core trauma has been triggered. So whatever you first responded to when the pandemic hit, some people went, "Oh, amazing, I don't have to come up with any excuses not to go out." Like some people really did that. Some people were really cut off. Their whole structure was gone. Some people were devastated, but their core beliefs were shown, basically. So people, the things they've been feeling for years and years and years, they suddenly realized what they were. And a lot of my client work has been about ending those patterns once and for all. So, why do I keep going to this place I don't want to go to, or working with these people and I'm not doing what I want to do? So there's lots of change. Lots of people have moved jobs, moved house, there've been relationship breakups and all those kind of huge changes because of what people have gone through.
Yeah, it's huge transformation going on right now. And it really is with everybody. I don't think that it's untouched, that anybody's been untouched in this.
Absolutely.
Experience.
And now we're all sort of coming out of it in one sense. It's not over by a long stretch, it's still here and we're learning to live with it. But people were talking about, somebody I know who's commuted for 20 years is suddenly terrified to go on the train. Like, I did this every day for 20 years and now I've got to go back to the office and I don't know how to do it. It's incredible because we were so programmed to be scared of going out, and now we've just got to go back to how it was.
It's really sad, actually, isn't it? It just really saddens me. I know even for myself, I would go grocery shopping in the beginning, and I would notice that nobody would look at each other anymore. Like, there was no eye contact. It was all like we were going to kill each other or something, right? Like that, that person, like, it was the fear that was embedded in this world. Yeah. Right. It wasn't even just a country. It was
absolutely everywhere. I remember actually going to the local shop when I was in the summer, so we were allowed to come out, but we masked and all of those things. Only 2 people around the shop at one time. It was, kind of early summer 2020. And there was a woman walking along with her child who must have been about 5 or 6. And they were talking about washing their hands. And this little child said, yes, because if I don't, Mummy, I could really hurt someone, couldn't I? So they already knew or felt like if I didn't do the right thing, I'm going to hurt someone and spread this. And I just thought, I just wanted to start tapping on that person, go, don't worry, it's going to be okay. Because she was like, yeah, that's right.
Imagine that level of trauma manifesting over the years.
Exactly.
Without having the awareness that is such, that could be debilitating, just that thought alone.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that, I think there was sort of, and for kids who were born or in those early years, in the last 2 years, and they haven't seen anyone outside of their family, and these are the things that I work with. We go back to the first 6 years of life. That's when we experience our emotions for the first time. That's when we start to set up our core beliefs. And we look at the world and we decide how to function in it. The unconscious mind makes decisions about how to function. And the last 2 years have not been how it is normally. So we don't really know that the core beliefs that are set up in a lot of ways and how the impact that's going to have, because it's going to be coming out in 10, 20, 30 years for those kids.
Right. I know that I have a couple of young teenagers and also have a little 4-year-old. Just their life and what's shifted and changed. Yeah. And it's very sad. Very, very sad. Just the isolation, the depression, what I saw, especially, one over another, whoever's more sensitive, or right. And the little one doesn't know anything other, really, because she's turned 4 and all she's
getting on with it.
This, and everybody wearing masks and it's really interesting because I think about that often, just because
you're aware of it
through their eyes.
Exactly. Yeah. My son is 18 next month, so he didn't do his GCSEs, his exams, 16-year-old exams. They got cancelled. So then he went to college and then tried different things. So he's kind of he's missed out. Like, he was quite relieved, like, oh, great. But really, he's missed out on this process of going through exam, like even that on its own. What is the impact on that? And the kids who have graduated in that time, will they always be, they're the COVID kids? They didn't do proper exam. It's like, we just don't know the impact, do we?
And I'm not sure about where where you're living, but all of a sudden now they're dropping the passports and the masks. Tomorrow there's no masks anymore. And on April the 8th, no more passports in British Columbia. Now in Alberta, in Canada, and I believe in Ontario, that's already been taken out. So we're lagging way behind with, because I was visiting actually in Alberta, being from there. I went back home, and it was kind of nice to get, just just felt like norm, and that there's such a sense of peace, and it's different.
It absolutely is. So I'm in the UK and we've been mask free for about a month now. It all sort of suddenly lifted. I went to the theatre a couple of weeks ago. There was a full theatre. A couple of people were wearing masks, but nobody had to. And it was amazing. It was kind of like stepping into the past and also stepping into the future at the same time.
Yep.
It felt really normal, felt really odd.
It really is, right?
Yeah. It was such a mixture of things.
I would find that that an experience as well. I've only been to the restaurants where, nobody's wearing any masks and everybody's, just out and about. And I guess all the bars have opened. And anyways, it's what a godsend that is.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, a few months back didn't seem like it was ever going to happen.
Exactly. And there has been a lot of, I think people are appreciating. I think the other good thing about it, that people met their neighbours for the first time. There's been a community coming together. And because our National Health Service has been like everyone's been stretched all over the world, everyone has. So people have had to, they deal with the people on the floor, don't they? Basically, the health service get to the worst cases first, and then everyone else. So a lot of people are having to look after themselves in lots of ways, which again is another reason why the alternative therapies and the practitioners and everyone else who can outside of the health service, people are coming out. They realize they can't get the help there because there aren't enough resources, because the staff
they just don't really work. They just don't, they're not for the long, like it doesn't, it just really is that Band-Aid. Like you've got your medication and then your medication's finished. Okay. Did it work, or do I need to go back for another prescription?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
This is so simple.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
So effective. And we just haven't been aware of that this is our natural innate path. Right. There's
the great I love this sort of description of it. We're like our wellness, our well-being is like a cork that floats on the top of the water. So our natural state is to be well, but everything kind of keeps the cork under the surface. Everything we've been through, all our experiences. So when you move the traumas and all the thoughts that create the tension in your body, and you start to relax, you will naturally float to the surface. It doesn't take work to do that your body knows how to get well when the conditions are right, when you can support yourself. We don't have to, your body knows how to heal itself. We don't know what's happening in our cells when we relax, but you feel better.
Yeah, really, right? Like you just think about the cut, and then as even as a child watching and how it heals so quick.
Magic. Yeah, exactly.
It's magic.
Yeah. It really is.
Body, we are whole and perfect and healthy, but we focus on all of our attention on the what is going wrong and forget to focus on the what's going right.
Absolutely. That is key. Like, it's not what's happening to you, it's how you feel about it and your thoughts about it that can affect the body more than anything else. Because two people can have the same experience and one person can say, oh, this will be all right, I'll get through it, and the other person is terrified because of their past experiences, because of their thoughts, their sensitivity. We're so individual, aren't we? And we're triggered by so many things.
Yeah, I've realized that I'm quite an empath. I didn't know that I was that, but I am, definitely that. I feel everybody and everything, and intuitively just can feel it's just incredible. It's really an uncomfortable situation sometimes, I find, for myself, because when people are feeling uncomfortable and then you're picking up that energy, but I believe that we're all picking up that kind of, I think that's really escalated for all of us.
Definitely.
And the world seems so much smaller now. You hear about Russia. Well, Russia, you can't even fathom Russia, because it was it was like a world away.
Another world,
and now it feels like it's in your backyard, and those energies and whatever fear, we're taking that on as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just holding that in our body, not knowing how to get rid of it.
Yeah.
There's simple processes for all of this, right?
Absolutely. And whatever is the trigger, whatever you're focusing on, you will have an emotional response to that and a physical response to that. Yeah. So whether you're watching the news and seeing all that going on and dealing with that feeling, that tension, or whether you're, looking in your own family and someone who's struggling, and that response in your body, whatever you're looking at, you have a response to it. So you can choose what to look at. So you can focus on the sunlight, focus on something good, and that will relax your body. And then you can look at the triggers and the feeling in your body and start to change that, transform that, and process whatever it is that's coming up. So if you look at the news, what happens to your body? Where do you feel it? What does it look like? What does it do to you? And then start to move that energy and change it. So that's the thing with, we're looking at war that's happening right now. Where is the war in your body? What does it feel like? What's the conflict in your body? You can't do that one, but you can do your internal stuff. It will trigger something.
And so that's really powerful what you just said there. Where is that in my body? And where am I holding that? I've started to do that, and just asking just very simple questions to ourselves gives us these, oh, okay, it's this, it's that.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize, I think I was asking the wrong questions, what did I do? I must have bad karma, right?
Yeah.
How did I get here?
Yeah. It's like the Google
right
mind, isn't it? Yeah, exactly.
The right questions, move us forward and through so much so quickly. But again, we're not aware that that is something that is very important, to be asking ourselves questions all day, every day.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. So we were talking about this last night, actually. I was running a group. I had a workshop teaching some EFT to a few people. And we were talking about sort of the mind being like the Google bar. So the question that you ask yourself, if you want pictures of elephants, you put elephants into Google and elephants come back. You don't put rhinoceros because the same in your mind. If you ask yourself, why am I so bad at this? Your mind will come up with a list of reasons, all the things you've ever done wrong.
Right.
You say, why am I so good at this? Oh, well, it'll come up with a list of all the things you've done well. So exactly what you're saying, asking the right questions, you'll get the right feedback. And
it's so simple and so profound, but we're just not aware of the power of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And the unconscious mind's number one priority is that we stay alive. It doesn't really care how happy you are, just wants you to be okay, to protect the DNA, to keep life moving on. It doesn't really care what your day's like, basically.
Well, and I understand the subconscious mind to be more like a computer chip. Like it's just running the 50, 80,000 thoughts every day, all day long. And most of them from our childhood and what we heard and saw and felt and experienced. And then we take that out into the world after 7.
Likely. That's it. Yeah.
And so I've lived in fight or flight my whole life. Didn't realize that until you really start to look in and try to heal. And it's those things to see in yourself, to see yourself just is just so difficult.
Yeah,
right?
It is. Yeah.
Because you can see what everybody else is doing wrong. It's so easy to, and unfortunately society's really made that such a number one pastime, is to judge and look down upon other people, as it makes whatever you're doing makes you kind of feel like you're better than them, or you're not all messed up, they are, or so whatever that is.
Exactly.
That human, which is so toxic and so unhealthy. It might feel better for the moment, but you're actually the one holding and carrying that energy that you're throwing on them. They pick up too, but you're the one you're the mastermind of those thoughts, what we think we've become. They say. I believe all that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've experienced that is true.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, as you say, it's really simple and really profound and really like, this is where I am and this is where I want to be. Like, how do you make that change? And it can feel huge, but really all you're doing is trying to find a thought that feels better in the moment.
Yeah.
So what just shifts? I don't have to get to the top of the mountain. I just like move so I can see the top of the mountain. So you don't have to be doing cartwheels and feeling ecstatic, but catching those little moments and those thoughts and those judgments. Yeah. When you know that you're projecting, and part of me is feeling like that, or part of me, if you spot it, you got it. Basically, if you see it in someone else, you do it yourself. And when you can start to own that and go, oh yeah, maybe I would do that if I was that person, you become more empathic, you become more forgiving of them, of yourself. Everyone softens, and you start to be able to feel better. And that's all we can do is feel better right now. And
because we're mirroring everything, you yeah, to see that is obviously something. And if it's bothering you, there's some kind of energy. Maybe it's not this exact same thing, but it's that energy that you've got jammed down in there and in our pathways, which is what the tapping helps to release, right? Is the pathways, so that you're not energetically blocked. Is that correct?
Absolutely. That's right. Yeah. So we have energy flowing through us, and that energy is blocked sometimes. And the blockages are caused by core traumas, so unresolved moments from the past, core beliefs, so negative beliefs and thoughts trap emotions in the body. And then there's physical toxins that affect the energy flow. And when you start tapping and naming the sensation in your body, so if you've got a tension in your chest, for example, or anxiety, you start tapping through and naming what you're feeling, it's being acknowledged. Your feelings want to be heard because they're there to trigger a behavior, which all comes back, through evolution. We used to live in small groups. We needed to stay in a group, otherwise we're going to get eaten, basically.
Yeah.
So all the cavemen and women and all those people in the past who responded to their fears, they're the ones that survived. The ones that wandered around going, oh, I'm fine, they got eaten, they didn't survive. So the ones who were terrified of everything were the ones so we're driven by fear because that's what kept us safe. So still now that's underneath everything. We need to know the negative. We need to spot the negative. The good stuff, that was lovely, but that doesn't affect us in the same way because it's not going to hurt us. So the unconscious remembers all the things that hurt us so that we don't get them again. Right. But then we're just triggered by other people, our judgments, our thoughts, so that we stay safe, supposedly, but we end up just feeling awful all the time.
Heavy and blocked.
Heavy, anxious, exactly.
And whatever we're resisting, whatever we're trying to not have, like this fear, like people are going out there, well, I'm not going to have this, and I'm not going to be, whatever the fear is, you're going to just end up, it's coming right to your doorstep.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because that's just law of attraction, right?
Yeah, exactly. You think about yellow cars, suddenly they're everywhere. You think about, I'm going to fall over, you're going to fall over. You think about, I'm really scared bad things are going to happen. Because you notice them. Those things are happening anyway. If you look for the good things, you'll notice them.
And also, is that not our body trying to say to us that, hello, it's like an alarm saying, hello, I've got something here that needs to be released, right? Can you have a look at this?
Absolutely.
Instead, we don't look at it. We jam it down there further because we don't know what it is or how to look at it. Yeah. And then we're in that state. So then we're looking at other people with a snarl on our face.
Exactly. And saying, you stop doing that because you're making me feel like this.
Yeah,
that doesn't work.
You need to not be you because you're making me uncomfortable.
Yeah. If everybody could just do what I said, we'll all be okay.
Yeah, right.
People don't do that.
They don't listen.
Exactly. Which would be very boring, really. But that's what
really would.
Kind of the level of control people show tends to reflect the level of devastation they felt, because they're just trying to stay okay. We don't want to feel these feelings. But that's the other thing. We don't want to feel afraid or angry or upset, but actually it's just a feeling. It's just energy. And once you've moved through it, you can like hold a feeling and make it more stronger and stronger, and it will peak and then it will go.
Yeah.
But we tend to.
How do you suggest so there's an uncomfortable situation, there's energy, there's a standing there, everything's coming up for them. Yeah. What do you coach your? So
there are quite a few ways of dealing with that. If it's not too big, not too traumatic, if it's uncomfortable, then don't move, because often we'll move and do something because we don't want to feel it. But if you can really stand still and notice what it feels like in your body, like where is it? Is it my tummy? Is it my chest? What's happened to my breathing? What is happening to what is my body telling you? If you really listen to that and let it come, intensify it. And even so, if it's fear, for example, of something, and you're like, you can sort of start bringing things that you're afraid of to intensify it, and your body will release it. But often we'll get to just before the peak and we'll cut it off, and if you're angry, you might slam a door, and that directs the energy over there, so you're not feeling it anymore. So if you allow just the emotion to come up and go, it will peak. But also you can use techniques like tapping. So you can learn the tapping points, just tap and breathe. And you might say, this anxiety in my chest, this anxiety in my chest, this anxiety in my chest, that will start to move that energy in a much kind of more gentle way than sort of sitting in in the storm of it, in a way. Whatever you're experiencing, the more specific you are with EFT tapping, you describe the feeling. So you might have an anxiety in your chest, and you could give it a color. It might be red, it might be tight, it might have a texture. When you start to communicate with your body and listen, what actually does this feel like? Because we know we feel anxious, my body feels anxious, but we often don't really think about what it is that we're feeling. So what comes to mind is I was working with somebody once, and she had what felt like a lump in the back of her head.
Yeah.
She went to the doctors, she had all the scans, there was nothing physically there, but she could feel this thing. And we started tapping and describing this feeling. She said, this lump in the back of my head, this lump in the back of my head. I said, what does it feel like? She said, oh, it feels quite frightening. So it was like this frightening lump in the back of my head. I said, what color is it? She said, it's black and brown. It started to move over her head. The energy of it moved over her head and down the side and then out through the back. And she could feel this energetic thing moving out of her body. Couldn't see it, didn't show up on any scans, and it cleared and it wasn't there anymore. So whatever that meant for her.
It's an energy blockage.
Exactly.
But she actually, by tapping into it, she could actually feel it, see the color, and move it. That's really powerful, right?
Yeah.
Because I believe that a lot of times what's happening for myself is, I'll stop. I catch myself, I'm not breathing. I'm holding my breath, which is ridiculous. Because I'm like, and I'm thinking to myself, why am I holding my breath? But I do it often. But it's just that, there's an uncomfortable energy coming towards me, and I'm embracing or bracing myself for it.
What is it going to be?
Because of the fear, probably, right? Yeah. But then just for myself, I just try to just breathe through it and know that it's got to move through, because it's just energy. We're all just energy. It's not good or bad. It's not right or wrong. Just it.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Yeah. There's an infinite scale in that direction of pain, that direction of love, if you want to call it, ease or whatever you want. You are on that scale, and there is no end. So wherever you are, which way you're heading, that's your choice, basically. So there's a whole kind of range of emotions. That one feels better than that one, so I'll move into that one. This one feels uncomfortable, so I'll move towards that.
And that polarity is what gives us the understanding of where we want to go. So it's actually not really a bad thing. If we didn't know it didn't feel good, then we wouldn't know to go the other direction.
Exactly. Right? So did you ever play this game when you were a kid called the hot and cold game?
I think so.
So we hide something, and then if you got closer to it, you say warmer, 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 colder, colder, colder. So as you move towards the thing that you're looking for, you were like, it was really exciting. It was like, it's around here. I forgot
that game. I love that game.
It's really good fun. That's what your emotions are doing. You decide.
Now I'm going to play that with the kids. We haven't played that one yet.
It's really good fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, really.
Especially if you're in a big room and there's lots of thick drawers to look at or something, and you're looking for something tiny. But that is it. That's what your emotions are doing. They're always going warmer, 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 colder, colder, colder. So if you listen to the ones that feel good and try and find things that do more of that, you're going to move away from the negative. But so some people kind of always want to move towards the positive without dealing with these traumas. And that doesn't really work. There are unresolved traumas that need your help. And those, exactly as you said earlier, those are the kind of cry for help from the past. Often your adult, normal, everyday self would cope with the situation, but a 2, 3, 4, 5-year-old you is terrified and crying, and that is the one that you're feeling in your body.
I did a lot of this work actually just in the last while. I think they call it the shadow work.
They do,
because it's kind of hiding. You don't, I've been looking for it to try to, that there's stuff in there, but where it is, I don't know what it is, like what's the big deal. Exactly. It's all just more of the same, I believe, or it was for me. But it's abandonment, and I think we're all just living such similar journeys in the fact that we all believe that we're not enough. We all believe that we picked up some perception of something, and then it just, every time a situation arises or that energy, we take it on as ours, and it just blocks up that pathway.
It does. And there are ancestral patterns. So we've things through the family line that
Which
haven't
is
been
incredible,
resolved, and they're
really.
kind of, yeah,
Right?
it really
Like
is.
how
Yeah,
many generations you could be doing it, those patterns, those same loop-de-loops, like that abandonment
exactly. Until
that's
somebody decides, well, this is not going to happen anymore. So somebody does that work. You can't do that without kind of everyone does their bits. I always think of it as like a bit of a baton being passed on. So I've done my bit here, you do this bit, you do this bit. So each generation, well, hopefully will be healing and moving towards that. But
I think that I've done it for all of the generations now.
This is going to be a lot of work. You've been working hard.
It's been a good 4-year deep dive, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Holy. But you know, I am aware that that is what I'm doing, and I'm working through whatever it is and asking, you know, like what part of this is mine. I think the other thing that I learned that was really great was just asking what part of this energy, and throughout the day, what part of this energy that I'm experiencing, like when we're feeling heavy and tired, and it's usually not our energy. It's just that we're just picking it up because we are sensitive or empathic or whatever.
Yeah.
And even if you're not that, you're still picking it up. But then just saying, you know, but what's fun about it is to just drop in, like you were saying, and notice like which part of this energy is not mine. And all of a sudden you can feel in your body heaviness all over the place.
Yeah.
And then you just say, return to sender.
Exactly.
With consciousness and love. And you can feel your whole body. It's if you are in tune at all to your body, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah,
it really is. And some of the work, you would have done this too. You can go back, you can ask, where do I need to go to heal this once and for all? And it might say an ancestral pattern 5 generations ago. I don't know. Nobody knows what that is.
Okay, I've not asked that question. Where do I need to go to heal this?
Yeah.
Love that.
And sometimes I've worked with people and they go, you know, ancestral 5-6 generations ago. So I said, float above, go to that event. So they don't, you know, they're making it up in their mind, but whether it's real or not doesn't matter, because the unconscious uses that scenario to describe the energy.
That's right.
And you can go back and get the learning. So what did you learn in that moment? What was the positive learning in that event? And it might be, I'm strong, or things that will be okay. So you can start to release the trauma. You can even step into that picture and talk to people in that scenario, work out what was happening. And then you bring that change through your entire timeline from that point all the way back. So that could be 500 years ago, back to the present day. Every event reevaluates itself around this new understanding that actually I'm safe, I'm strong, I have family, I'm loved, whatever it is, everything starts to transform. But if something happened to your great grandmother and she changed how she was, how on earth, there's nothing, it didn't happen to you, happened to them. How on earth can you heal that? You know, it's not something, there's some people like, I came in with this feeling, or I've always felt like this, because it's kind of the emotions passed down.
They do, which is incredible, right? Like, it's just incredible that you to grasp and wrap your head around that whole thing that I'm carrying generational wounds of not enough and less than and abandonment and whatever those are for generations of the women, right? It's,
absolutely.
Having that conversation so that somebody hears that, oh, that's a thing, you know? And that you can heal generations back and forward.
It makes sense, doesn't it? You think of like, you know, spider phobia. Like, why are we scared of spiders? Because lots of people were bitten by spiders and died, you know, like that's why it's in human nature to be afraid of heights, or to be afraid of things that are bad for you, because so many people before experienced that. And that's, you know, it's evolution, it's in the world, the animals, and it's just a thought, that stuff. Exactly.
And it's just a thought. That thought has so much, whatever power we're giving it, and that's not happened to them, and maybe it might happen, but that's what we do to ourselves, isn't it? Right? That thought, I can't get in that elevator. I heard elevators crash, right? My daughter did this. Well, she was frightened of elevators. She never had a bad experience in an elevator. If she saw some movie, and that was it, she had to take the stairs. Like,
it's amazing,
just
isn't it?
from a thought that we give power and power and power to. They're just thoughts until we make them a reality.
Exactly. And a belief is a thought that you just keep thinking.
Yes, right. And going through the the beliefs. I have been doing this, changing out lots and lots of patterns of unconscious. My body will get up and start doing something. I'm thinking to myself, what am I doing? But it's just this automatic, and catching myself and stopping that, and then looking at what that thought is. Most of these thoughts are not good for us. Most of these thoughts aren't true. Most of these thoughts are not even, we heard it once, we heard it twice, and then somehow we believe that as truth. Like, what the heck? And none of us are even aware that that's where our belief systems have been made from.
Exactly.
How many of us have sat down and actually really gone through our belief systems and values as of late?
Yeah.
Right.
This is what, like, this is what needs to be in schools, this kind of learning of the unconscious mind.
Yes. And why are they not teaching us this? Because this is what we need to live in this world. We don't need a lot of the stuff that we're being taught. What we need to do is we need to understand how energetically we are a part of, and we're connected to this incredible vast universe. And nobody, so many people just don't even understand that. They just still believe that, we're the only humans in the universe and on planet Earth, like we're these little specks of dust, right? Exactly. And it's like, really?
Yeah, because that
can
really
there's anything else going on out there. Come on.
Boggle the mind, can't see. Exactly.
Yeah.
But it is, you can only do, like right now, the universe is you and me talking on a computer. That nothing else exists outside of this moment. This is all we have. Yeah. And often we want to know what's happening. So that's the other thing from the pandemic. We had plans for holidays and trips and things. None of that stuff may have happened anyway, but because suddenly it was all taken away, it was devastating.
Yeah.
We can make lots of plans and nobody knows what's around the corner. So we're like kind of being here right now and feeling as good as you can right now will hopefully mean you have more of those experiences in the future. But none of that really matters. And the past doesn't really matter because it's over. So when you can, that mindfulness, that word's kind of buzzed around a lot, but what it really means is being as good as you can be right now, feeling joy right now, because you just get more of what you're focusing on.
Yeah. And we need to practice. I've been practicing this, and we need to practice this because it's the snowball, right?
Absolutely. And you
wake up and you set an intention for your day. I want to have a great podcast today, and I want to have fun, and I want it to just flow, and I want some great information for people to, right? And then you kind of go through the rest of what's going to happen and let it go. And at the end of the day, wow, today I had a great podcast, right? And this happened and that happened. And my drive to Whistler was great. And you look back, and if we just stopped for a minute and did that, that momentum builds. And then the next is a little bigger. Yeah. And another bigger. And it really is. It's just really that simple.
Yeah. And if every experience, whether it feels good or bad, like you said earlier, it's you're either having contrast saying, I don't like this, which is clarifying what you do want.
Yes.
Or it is what you want. So you're either clarifying what you want or you're satisfying what you want. Every moment is like that. So it's either feels bad, which means I want something better, or it's great, I'm already there.
And that's because we have a polarized universe, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's always going to be good and bad. There's always not going to just be the good. And we need the contrast so that we know where we're going.
Yeah. And if you can not be afraid of the contrast, and be taken, like if you take judgment out of every experience, it's just stuff that happens. See, if you judge it to be awful,
this is the big thing. And for me, I believe that I could feel judgment, and so then I would you start to question yourself, is that mine? And you don't know, and we start to do this little rabbit hole
spiral. Absolutely.
Yeah. And
just go. I remember a friend of mine said to me once, like he said, I've been rich and I've been poor, I prefer being rich. It's like, it's kind of like,
we're meant to be abundant.
I've been unhappy and I've been happy, I prefer happy. It is like that simple. This feeling, this one I like more.
Yeah.
That is all it is, whatever the subject. If you think about, I like, I don't know, fish, I like bread, whatever it is, you have a preference. You're just choosing the preference that you like.
But now you know
everything. But now you know exactly.
You know what you like before you didn't.
And you wouldn't know without trying it.
Yeah.
What you liked.
Yeah.
So
again, so simple, but yet so profound.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So so you're a stress-free life academy. You
Mhm.
do coaching one-on-one,
I
and
do.
do you do like a group Zoom
I do,
classes
yeah.
or
I
yeah?
do webinars. I've got a YouTube video with all my kind of past webinars and things. So you can all on different subjects. I've got courses. So one of my courses is called the 21-day audio program. And you
Yeah.
have an audio every day for 21 days on a different subject. So you end up with a library of, if you're stressed, you can listen to that one. If you're anxious, you listen to this one. If you want to tap for other people, you listen to this one. So it's just, you just plug it in and listen along. That's a really good starting place because you don't have to think about what's going on in your body. You can just listen and start to learn the techniques. I've got a course called the Belief Buster, so you can find your core beliefs and start to change them. I've got another one, You Are What You Think, that's looking at your thoughts and the impact that has on it. And How to De-Stress Your Life, that's like my signature course. So it's like all the basics. You understand what stress is, what it's doing to you, why it's important, and then all your triggers, and then you learn 3 or 4 techniques to transform in the moment. So it's like a whole caboodle of what you need, a whole package of everything you need. Yeah
Really.
So and I've just started to do live sessions again, face to face, which was, I had the first one last night in 3 years. It was like being in the room with people was great. But yeah, I do a lot online too, obviously, so we can reach everybody. Yeah.
Oh, good for you. Really.
Thank
It's
you.
this work right now is, I think, probably one of the most important pieces that we could do to spend time in is, grounding ourselves and clearing ourselves and unblocking the energy and just learn, because we're all here to love ourselves, I believe. Like my whole life I've known that we're all here to learn to love ourselves.
Yeah.
But there's so many layers of it, and you're good for a bit, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're down over here again. You're like, oh, geez, what happened now?
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's just time to grow again, right?
Yeah. It never stops. And that's the good news. It's like, we are here to be happy. If you're not happy, we need to heal. And you clear one thing, there's the next thing, because you're doing you're doing women, you're doing the world, you're doing generations, you're doing the history of, it can be huge, but also you're doing your bit just by feeling good.
Yeah. And like you were saying, doing the daily, consciousness, like if you're doing the 21 days, now you're into a habit, right? You've created yourself a new habit because you've done something, and we really deserve that for ourselves, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that
we won't give it to ourselves, but we really do deserve it.
And when you will have experienced this, when you kind of have a fundamental shift, like you've turned a corner, or you feel like you're standing on a different foundation stone, you can't experience that until you experience it. So until you've shifted, like I've had this moment a lot of times, you kind of go, oh, this is what I've been striving for.
The epiphany, right?
Yeah, you cannot create that until you're there.
I get it.
Yeah. Oh, I've done it. I remember I've done enough. I have done enough work now, and it took a long time to get to that point, but I know I'm good now. Like everything else is icing on the cake after this point.
Yes.
It was and it was real moment of clarity. And
everybody has the work to do as well, right? Nobody gets off on this. So
if you're alive, you've got trauma.
Say, oh yeah, I'm good. Yeah, those are the ones who probably need it the most. In denial, totally.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, you know what? It's been amazing talking with you. I love what you're doing. This work is, I think, to me, the number one priority. It is for me and my healing and my journey so far. And if they're these tools, they're simple.
They are.
Anybody can do them.
Yeah,
but we
absolutely.
need to be aware of them. We need to just listen and take that time out and just go, oh yeah. And once you're listening to it, it's amazing how you just know, like your whole body knows without a doubt, right? And so maybe one process you're like, oh yeah, it's not really clicking for me. Keep moving.
Try something else.
Because
exactly.
The next video has a different, right? And it's really that, isn't it? Like, yeah.
That's why I love using all the different techniques, because you just got your toolbox. You go, what do I need today? Sometimes I just tap a little bit here.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel a bit better. Sometimes you need to cry for 20 minutes and talk about it, and then go and I don't know, hum or whatever it is.
Yes.
But there is a way through. There's always a way.
Yeah. And having support, having a coach.
Absolutely. Like
I
still have
definitely
sessions.
A new thing, right? Like, well, it's not a new thing. It's definitely something that is being embraced.
Yeah.
I believe, because we need to have that support. You can't just lean on your friends and your family to give you the healthy support because probably they don't know it. They probably don't know
we're
how.
we're all doing their own stuff. Going, I don't know, how do you like,
You're right. And some people just can't take it anymore. Like they can't, they've got their buckets full with their own stuff. And so, so we need you out there in the world.
Oh, and I absolutely love it. You know, some people kind of apologize when they're crying or they're upset. And I was like, you know, I know what's on the other side of this. So I'm good. Like, tell me, bring it. Because I know what's coming for you. And oh, okay. If it's this bad, it's going to be so much better on the other side.
It really is. I can attest to that. Yeah. Okay, well, I'd like to catch up with you later on down the road. So keep in touch, and if you've got something really new and great that you'd like to come back and share with me.
Oh, absolutely. I'd love to. I love talking about this all the time. As many opportunity I can.
And it's great to find people to talk to
about. Exactly. And thank you for all this work and getting it out there and sharing all this with everyone. It's amazing.
My passion. My passion. It's so important to me. It's healed. I'm still on my journey, but from where I was to where I am now, I'm lucky to be alive, and it's to do with this work. So
it's amazing.
Thank you for doing what you're doing in the world, and hopefully all of us can raise it and pull ourselves up out of the fear monger and
absolutely, it's
back up into love and happiness. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye.